Okay. All right. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our first Cal Action Conference Q&A session. I hope you all had a restful weekend and ready to lobby. So next slide, please. I think we're still on the first one. Yes. So closed captions can be viewed by clicking on the closed captions button at the bottom of your screen. Y ahora en español, pueden ver los subtítulos haciendo clic en el botón Closed Captions que está en la parte inferior de su pantalla. Puede acceder la interpretación en español haciendo clic en interpretación en la parte inferior de la pantalla y seleccionando Spanish. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. So we want to talk about our values so that we can come together in shared understanding of how we aim to approach our work. I think we're a slide ahead. First and foremost, we acknowledge that we are on indigenous land. What we know as California is the settler occupied land of over 100 indigenous tribes. We encourage everyone to research and better understand the indigenous land that you occupy. You can start by finding the native land that you are on at native-land.ca, and then finding ways to connect with and support local tribes. Secondly, we are dedicated to creating a democracy that is just and equal. This means we believe that human rights should be guaranteed for everyone, including Indigenous people, women, youth, people of color, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people, immigrants and refugees, members of minority religions, people with disabilities, people who are experiencing poverty or homelessness, and people who are currently or formerly incarcerated. Next slide, please. All right, so I am Elvia Mesa. I am with the Southern California affiliate, and joining me today is Becca Cramer-Mowder, who's a legislative coordinator at the Cal Action office. And we also have Jennifer Jones, who is a staff attorney with the Northern California affiliate. So this opening, as you can see, is pretty just quick. We're gonna just, as Tanisha told me, it's light and easy. So this is your platform to ask your questions. So let's get started. So we're going to do this by asking you to write in any questions that you may have as they pertain to the bills or the program for the rest of the conference. Also, just general lobbying questions that you may have, how visits are going to move forward. This is a place to ask all of those questions. And you can do that by, as I mentioned earlier, writing those questions on the chat, or you can raise your hand and Laura will be keeping track of folks that raise their hand and then unmuting you so that you can ask your question live. So yeah, I think I saw one question already by Stephanie Connolly. Can you please tell me what the process will be for San Diego folks? I am in the unincorporated portion of East San Diego County. I see a lot of hands, by the way.
Yes, I have them here too. I can answer that, Elvia, if that's okay with
Awesome.
you.
Yes, please.
So hi to all our San Diego and Imperial Counties folks. We're excited that you're joining us here today and wanted to let you know that you'll be receiving an email today by 3:30 p.m. And sorry, can you all see me? Okay, cool. And basically that email will tell you when your lobby visit is happening, the date and the time, and then we will be meeting with you around 30 minutes prior to the beginning of that lobby visit so that we can let you know what roles you'll be having. And yeah, hopefully that answered your question. And with that, I am going to send it to Tim Clark, who is our first individual with their hand up.
Yes, I have a specific question about AB 1608, the bill that would split the sheriff and the coroner's office. The messaging in the talking points about this relates to people who die in custody in a jail, and how the sheriff then has a conflict of interest if he's also the coroner. I'm wondering if it would not also apply to an individual who is killed on the street by police officers, or and why the messaging is not including that, like the Stephon Clark case.
Do we have any folks here that can answer the question?
So the coroner will investigate officer-involved incidents. So it will be relevant for officer-involved deaths. Yes.
Are there others who investigate those officer-involved deaths, and that's why that messaging was not included?
I think where there is the most clear impact, where it will have the greatest impact, is folks who die in custody. But it will also have an impact on officer-involved incidents, as you said.
Okay, thank you for that answer, Tanisha.
Thanks for the question, Tim.
Thank you so much. We'll pass it to Audra. Sorry if I mispronounced.
Hi, my name is Audra, and I am from Northern California, Santa Rosa. And the question I have, I was really grateful for all the information and really being told to dive deeper, when we're looking at bills, and to make sure that they're what that they really need to be, et cetera. And I know that, June, we're going to have an election and stuff. And just in general, because is there a good resource or site within your site that we can go to with your recommendations, and so that we're making sure that we have some clear, credible knowledge, and that we're not just getting half truths? Thanks.
So we are nonpartisan, and we don't take a position in terms of who you should vote for. We'll definitely have some information up very soon, about how to vote, resources, and we do take positions on ballot measures. So we'll provide information about ballot measures that might be specific to your area. I love this question. We're definitely very passionate about making sure that voters get good information, and we can definitely follow up with some resources that we like and trust.
Yes, and in SoCal specifically, we'll have some information on, what the role of the Board of Supervisors is, as well as the DA and the Board of Supervisors, and I'm sure other affiliates do the same. You provide just like the importance of us voting on these elections, but as Tanisha said, we are nonpartisan, so we can't provide a recommendation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll go to Andrew, and from there, Christina.
Hello.
Hi, Andrew.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Let's see. Oops, I'm gonna take there I am. Yeah, my name is Andrew White. I live in San Francisco. I go by AJ. My question regarding Senate Bill 1038 in the lobby session tomorrow. I guess with let me see here. So what is the senator that will be being lobbied? Who will be being lobbied tomorrow for SB 1038?
So for questions that are specific to your lobby visit, do you mind if I ask where you are?
Where I'm at specifically right now?
Like what? Yeah, are you in Northern California, Southern California?
Yeah, I'm in San Francisco.
Okay.
San Francisco is where I'll be.
So
Krista.
for those of us who are in San Francisco, your schedule that you received has specific information about who you're meeting with. Sierra just posted that you're in Team O, and I'm happy to follow up with you and answer specific questions about your lobby visit and make sure that you have the schedule that includes who you're meeting with in the Zoom link.
Okay, maybe I just overlooked that. So and that'll have the time schedule. Okay, check that out then tonight. So as far as the language of the bill is concerned, do you know anything about as far as the body camera, the officers who wear the body cameras? Does that have anything to do with their Q levels or their ranks or anything for who is wearing the body cameras these days?
So the bill language, it doesn't distinguish between like officer rank. So it actually provides for a prohibition on the use of facial recognition in connection with body cameras, period. So that would include any officers in the state of California.
But this is not against all body cameras. This is just facial recognition and roving. Is that correct?
Yes, so the bill doesn't prohibit the use of body cameras. The bill strictly prohibits the use of facial recognition on or in connection with body worn cameras.
Okay. So you don't know anything about what who is allowed to wear the body cameras though? This bill is that. Oh yeah. Here's an actual other question. What is the bill that was previously used before this bill? Is an assembly bill that I heard? This bill was
Yes.
kind of backing.
Yes, so this bill essentially would extend the protections of a previous bill that passed in 2019. That was Assembly Bill 1215. And so the prohibition was exactly the same. It also prohibited the use of facial recognition in connection with body worn cameras. That bill is currently scheduled to sunset on January 1st of 2023. Hence the need for SB 1038 to continue those protections past that date.
Okay, and is AB 1215 that also relates directly to PC 832.1? Is that those are two separate? Because I saw that PC 832.19 also expires on January 23rd of 2023.
Yeah, so I believe you're referencing the penal code. That is when AB 1215 actually became codified. The protections of AB 1215 were written into the penal code. So those are essentially the same theme. AB 1215 is the bill itself, and then the penal code is the actual text of the law.
Okay, that was my question. Okay, that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Of course, you're welcome.
And there will be an email. You said who? I can't remember the girl's name. There's an email with the scheduling for tomorrow and all the details, I guess. See.
Yeah, so your team liaison is actually here, Sierra, and we'll make sure you get all the information. And please do follow up with your captain or your liaison directly if you have additional questions and clarifications.
Team 0. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. And we'll go to Christina and from there, Gianna.
Okay. Is my mic working? Can you hear me? Yes. Thank
Yes,
you.
we can.
That's good. Hello, my name
Hi.
is Christina Hart. I use she, her, and hers pronouns, and I'm a non-binary transgender woman with autism, and I live in the Sacramento area of California, Northern California, in the city of Folsom. So I've got some questions to ask you. My first question is, are there any new state legislators or bills here in California that are coming for more protections for LGBTQ plus people, especially transgender people? Are there any new bills or legislators coming up to give people like me more protections from discrimination or whatever the case?
I can answer that. Hi, Christina. I'm our
Hi.
lobbyist on LGBTQ rights. And
Yay.
there are lots of legislators in California who are working to extend protections, and there are several bills that would do so. There is one, for example, SB 1194, I think it is, that
I
would.
never heard of it.
Yeah, it's a relatively new bill. It's actually up in committee on Wednesday, and it would allow cities to create multi-gender restrooms.
Awesome.
Yeah, that are multi-stall. So that's a really cool bill. That's one, for example, that is up, but there are several bills. There's another one kind of building on work that the legislature has done over the last couple of years, making sure students have access to transcripts that match their preferred name and pronouns. So we've already extended that to high school students and to some college students, and this would be extending it in some other areas. So there's several different bills. Happy to connect with you offline about what those are and ways that you might be able to get involved in those.
Yes, I'd like to. And my other question is, I go to the ACLU of Sacramento, and I've been thinking about doing being an organizer, an activist, an advocate, and doing those kind of activism work for the LGBTQ plus community of Sacramento area for the ACLU of Sacramento. How can I get involved with doing that? Because now I want to help my community.
I think I've actually met you in person back when the Sacramento chapter.
It's been a long time.
It has, but I remember when the chapter used to meet at our offices. Are you wanting to get involved in local LGBTQ advocacy as part of the Sacramento chapter or separate from ACLU?
Pretty much a part of the ACLU Sacramento chapter. I want to get involved with LGBTQ plus advocacy, and I'll even do disabled people too as another backup.
Great. I am not involved in chapter work, so I'm going to see if someone else who's at NorCal.
I happen to be a ballerina too, and I take a ballet class at a dance school in Folsom.
Awesome.
So I want to be an inspiration to other LGBTQ plus people, saying, hey, you can do whatever you want in this world. The world can't tell you no. Be yourself. If you want to do sports, do sports. If you want to dance or do martial arts, do it. Don't let people tell you no, or the world.
Absolutely. One of NorCal's organizers
here.
Oh, thank you, Tammy.
Hi, Christina. It's
Hi there.
Tammy, and I've been meaning to call you, so I need to call you today anyway.
What's your name?
This is Tammy.
Oh, hi, Tammy. It's
Hi.
good to see you again. I wasn't sure whose voice it was.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I can, since I need to call you anyway, I also work with our chapters in Northern California. So maybe Carlos and I can connect with you about the Sacramento chapter, since Carlos is our organizer there and we both work with the chapter, and we can get you looked into stuff.
I want to be more involved with the ACLU because, as I'm aware of what's going on in other states, transgender people in other states outside of California are under attack right now. So hopefully that won't happen here. And that's something I want to prevent from ever coming to California.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I think without all of our advocacy, like our advocacy is necessary to make sure that what's happening in other states, which is really dangerous and violent, does not come here to California. So let's make sure to connect. And I owe you a call anyway, just to make sure we're squared away for coffee visits this week. So
I think I have your phone number too.
yeah,
so
and I have yours. Yeah, I'll give you a call later this afternoon and we'll chat. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christina.
That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Ooh, love the connection. So, so we're going to Gianna, and then after that we have a question on the chat. So, Gianna, it's all yours.
Hi, I'm Gianna, pronoun she, her. I just had a general question as a first-time lobbyist. If you all had any recommendations or things to keep in mind going into lobbying for my first time, or just best ways to prepare, that sort of thing.
I would love to answer this and then have other folks chime in as well. Gianna, one of the most important things to remember is that you are their boss. You get to vote legislators in and out of the office depending on whether you think they're doing their job well. And so I know it can sometimes feel a little scary going to talk to an elected official, but just remember that you're the one that gets to decide whether they keep their job or not based on how they're voting. Another is to just tell your story and why these bills matter to you. That's what the legislators and their staff are going to be looking for in this meeting, is why you as their boss care about this, and they should care about it as well. They may ask a question that you don't know the answer to, and that's totally fine. That sometimes happens even as, you know, a professional lobbyist who works on these bills all the time. And it's totally appropriate to just say, you know, that's a great question. I don't know the answer. I will make sure that someone gets back to you, and then to report it to your team captain so that they can make sure that folks in my office know that we need to get back to the legislator or their staffer about that particular question. But I would say those are the most important pieces. Oh, and the other is to just be as concise as possible. There's a lot going on, and so oftentimes we get very limited meeting times. And so being able to make sure that we're really distilling the point of what we're trying to say quickly, but still being as saying it as powerfully as we can is really important. And just being flexible that sometimes last minute things come up that might pull a legislator or their staff away, and that they will try and, you know, adjust around it. But just recognizing that there's a lot of pulls on everyone's time right now in the Capitol just because of where we are in the legislative calendar. Do other folks have any tips for first-time constituent lobbyists?
I will echo what you said, Becca, that don't feel overwhelmed going into it, that you need to know every answer to every signal technical question, because you don't, and it's okay to say, I don't know, we will get back to you, and to find that you going in to talk about why you care about these issues is powerful. You're a constituent, they need to hear from you, and they need to hear you like a real person, you know, just talking about why it hits home in some way, maybe not directly, but in your community, people that you know. So I think that to me is what makes a visit powerful.
Absolutely. And if I might just add, Gianna's our San Diego leader. I'll go on screen. Sorry, I forgot. And you got this, Gianna. Thanks for coming here. This is like the first step in making sure you feel comfortable, but you already got this. And your leadership and you being here is already the first step. And I'll pass it to you, Elvia, again. I put it in the chat box, but the next question is the ACLU involved with voting rights activities in California and the San Diego area in particular? I guess this one's for us. And if so, how would a person get involved in this? Voting rights activities. Yes, we do. I think that question was from Stephanie. I can't go all the way back up, but yes, we do. And Stephanie, someone will reach out to you from our office. I'm not sure what area of San Diego or Imperial counties you're in. If you could put that in the chat box, or feel free to DM me individually here, that would be very helpful. But we do, and I could share a little bit about that individually with you. But lobbying is definitely a way to get involved in what we have coming up for like voting rights and that stuff, type of stuff. Although we might not be doing it right now at this moment, we do in the future. So yeah.
Yeah, and here in SoCal, we'll be doing voter engagement work, hopefully kicking it off on May 12th, and we will be sharing voting resources, voting rights information with our members and other voters as well. So be sure to also, you know, I never say DM me, but DM me, and I'll be in touch. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Tanisha.
I was going to say that in NorCal, we also do a ton of voter education work, and specifically we text voters out a ton of information, especially GOTV, get out the vote, getting folks involved and signed up. So if, you know, voting rights, voter information is something you're interested in, encourage you to sign up and volunteer for our text banks around the election.
And at the Cal Action office, which is the lobbying at the state legislature, we do have a sponsored bill on voting rights this year, AB 2841, which protects the voting rights of people with disabilities and for registered voters at risk of being mistakenly removed from voter rolls.
Any other questions?
Hey, y'all. Can we had a question earlier about AB 1608 that I'd like to come back to. Kaylin was able to jump on just for a minute. Thank you, Kaylin. The question, and I don't remember who asked it. So if you want to come back and
It was
ask.
Tim Clark.
Is he still here? And he said, you know, the talking points for 1608 sort of mention folks who die in custody, but what about folks who are impacted while they're on the street or not just in custody? I'm gonna let Kaylin unmute. That might be happening.
Yeah. So I think the short answer is it's slightly a little bit more nuanced. Not all deaths are investigated or not all autopsies are ran through a coroner's office. So if unless the death is considered unusual, sudden, or violent, then it'll typically go through a coroner's office. And so that's definitely the case when it's an officer involved killing or something that happened through their custody. So all the bill is going to do is separate the duties of the coroner from the sheriff. And so if after the bill is signed into law, if a death does fall within those three categories, then it would absolutely be investigated independent from law enforcement. And the idea is for the sheriff to not be part of that investigation. So it's whether in the two different scenarios that it looks like Tim had mentioned, whether it's they were killed at the hands of police or they were something happened and they died while in custody, both of those two scenarios should be included.
Got it. And I'm happy to follow up with Tim and make sure he gets that answer. Thank you for providing that clarification, Kaylin.
Thank you.
Thank you both. So it looks like we don't have more questions coming in. I mean, there were some questions around the cost of the bills, right? That came up. I don't have an answer on the cost, but if maybe like Jennifer, if you have information on the cost of the facial recognition bill, that would be very helpful for folks to hear since it might come up in a visit.
Yeah, so there is actually no cost to SB 1038 because the bill strictly prohibits the use of facial recognition in connection with body-worn cameras. There is no cost to do that. If anything, it actually sort of prevents the wasting of very critical resources on technology that we know is very flawed. Just because if police departments were to start acquiring more facial recognition technology and integrating more facial recognition technology with body-worn cameras, that would actually cost a great deal of money. But since the bill would prohibit that, we don't have to worry about that. So there is no fiscal impact related to SB 1038.
That'll be refreshing to say if it comes up at a visit. Any other intel on for the other bills and costs? If not, I hope let me know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly or not. Sybil, you're on mute.
No, it's Sybil.
Sybil. Okay, Sybil. All right.
Okay, so I'm a little unclear about talking to the assembly members, staff. We're only going to be talking to their staff about the process in the background of why we're going to talk with about SB, the two SB bills, the SB 1038 and the SB 1273. It can come back to the assembly after it passes the Senate. I'm just not getting that quite.
Yeah, so absolutely. So if it's an SB, that just means it was introduced in the Senate, and once it gets through the Senate, then it'll go to the Assembly and get voted on in the Assembly. before it can go to the governor. Just like an AB, which is an assembly bill, just means it was introduced in the assembly. It has to go through the assembly and then through the Senate before it can go on to the governor.
So it goes assembly, Senate, assembly. Yes.
Oftentimes, so if there were no changes made to the bill in the second house, so if it's an assembly bill and it's in the second house would be the Senate, if they took no amendments in the Senate, then once it gets out of the Senate, then it could go directly to the governor. But if they took any amendments, then it has to go back to the assembly for what's called a concurrence vote, which just says that the assembly is cool with the language that was changed in the Senate, and then it can go on to the governor.
Yes, thank you. That does it. Thank you.
Becca, to be clear, the house it goes back to needs to vote on it again, like say we're okay with it.
Yeah, but only
Okay.
if there were changes in the second house. So if the second house hears it and is like, first house, you did a great job with language, nothing needs to be changed here, then it can go directly to the governor. But if there are any changes, then it goes back to the first house for a vote, and they cannot make any changes to the language at that point.
Okay.
It's just we agree or we disagree with what the second house did.
Okay, so a bill could die there too.
It could. It's not likely, but it has happened.
Okay, I'm sorry for being so grim.
But it's okay, because when we oppose bills, sometimes it's nice that they are able to be held at that point.
Of course. Okay, thank you. Okay, I think we're at 12:36. We got some really good questions asked and answered. So I think we can move forward to closing off this session. But before we do that, Sierra is going to share with us what to look forward to.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sierra. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm based in Sacramento with ACLU NorCal. This week, we're doing our lobby visits. So those will kick off tomorrow, Tuesday, and run through Thursday. So as we've mentioned, you should have already received your schedule for the week. If you have not, please contact one of us and we're happy to provide that to you. And then if you have time, tomorrow and then the following day, Wednesday, we have text banks from noon to 2. So that's an opportunity to reach out to folks across the state, so we can encourage them to contact their state legislators to say, hey, we want to support these. Can you put pressure? And then on Thursday, we're going to wrap it up with a closing celebration. So we hope that you can join and celebrate all of our activities and all the work you've been putting in as Rockstar volunteers. Next slide. And then make sure that your team assigns someone as the note taker. On the resource page for the conference, there is a Google form to capture notes, and we highly encourage you to do this immediately after the meeting. So make sure you submit immediately after the meeting while everything is fresh in your mind. And then let's say, during that meeting, someone asks a question and we don't have the answer, that's fine, but we want to document it that way. The Cal team can follow up with that information. And then write down any of your favorite quotes. We can share those during the closing celebration. Take screenshots. So when you're in the meeting, just pause for a moment, say, hey, can we take a quick photo? Because we want to share that. And then tweet, post, share, #CalAction2022. But that's all. Are there any questions for me or about what's expected this? No?
Hi,
Okay.
Sierra.
Oh.
Quick question. I missed an event from last week. Where can I find the recordings for those events?
Phenomenal question. So if someone could drop it in the chat, we have a landing page for this conference. And so everything's been recorded. All of our PowerPoints are posted, talking points, fact sheets, everything pertaining to this week in conference as well as last week. So go there, check it out. The link is dropped. I see it. And then also, if you want to use the cool background, the official ACLU background, we put some how-to. So if you're having issues using that, those have been posted as well. and happy to troubleshoot for folks that are not familiar or comfortable with Zoom. So definitely look into that. Any other great questions? No? Okay.
Thank you, everyone. This has been super helpful to everyone. And there's a second session later today, as Sierra mentioned, in case you have questions that come up that you want to answer. So good luck with your lobbying. See you at Tex Banking. Have a good rest of Monday. Take care. Bye.